With the fall of Nazi Germany not long over, and tensions brewing between the United States and the Soviet Union, in 1946, America announced a military expedition that would change the way we view the world as we know it. Today, we're diving into, literally, a world below our own and questioning the very fabric of our planet. From a simple military mission to a classified and contentious conspiracy, sit back as we go over the events of none other than Operation Highjump. Antarctica, the fifth largest continent and virtually uninhabited, ice-covered landmass, has more than its fair share of conspiracy. From flat earthers to ancient alien enthusiasts, the southernmost continent has long since been a site of mystery and spectacle. Antarctica was regarded as a promising prospective store of essential resources due to its large bank of mineral riches in mainly unexplored terrain. As a result, the U.S. intended to create a base in Antarctica and use air and naval resources to explore the icy continent. So, it came as no surprise when on August 26, 1946, Admiral Chester Nimitz, head of the U.S. naval operations, declared that the continent would be used for a large-scale military training expedition. Originally known as the United States Navy Antarctic Developments Project Operation, the expedition was to be headed up by polar explorer, Navy officer, and pioneering pilot noted for his expeditions in Antarctica, Admiral Byrd. In the official line of this story, the operations goals were 1. Test materials and train personnel in the Antarctic. 2. Strengthen and broaden American control over the practical majority of Antarctica. 3. Ascertain whether creating and maintaining bases in the Antarctic is feasible. 4. Establish and sustain strategies for air bases on the ice. 5. Extend current scientific understanding of the subject. 6. Comprehensive aerial mapping of Antarctica, focusing on the coastline. Ship assignments for this Antarctic expedition began on August 26, 1946. 13 ships in total were selected and placed in one of 4 predetermined groups: Central Group, Western Group, Eastern Group, and the Carrier Group. But was all as it seemed? From the get-go, the true nature of the operation was questioned. See, America wasn't the first to attempt to establish a base on the continent. The Nazis were, and some believe they were successful. One of the most famous alleged clandestine activities during the Nazi era involved New Schwabenland and its mysterious Base 211, which was located in Antarctica. In the Queen Maud Land region of Antarctica, New Schwabenland, also known as New Swabia, is situated between 20 degrees east and 10 degrees west. The German Antarctic mission, which even encountered places with warm freshwater ice-free zones and flora in a region where science says everything should be frozen, thoroughly investigated this remote land. Geologists who took part in the German expedition said that hot springs or other geothermal sources were to blame for the presence of flora in certain locations. Grand Admiral Karl Donitz of the German Navy even stated, "The German submarine fleet is proud of having built for the Führer, in another part of the world, a Shangri-La on land, an impregnable fortress." Is that what Byrd was truly searching for? Well, it would certainly explain the need for so many men and ships. Rumors concerning not-so-covert Nazi expeditions to Antarctica and a base called Station 211 have persisted among writers and scholars since the height of Hitler, up until this very day. While it's well known that the Nazis arrived in New Swabia just before the war began, it is less clear what transpired, or did not transpire, in Antarctica. The idea that the Nazis established a station in Antarctica around the time of World War II has been the subject of a number of conspiracy theories for decades. According to certain conspiracists, Hitler and other defeating Nazi leaders escaped to Antarctica at the end of the war and arrived there via Argentina, with the station rumored to have been home for several unaccounted U-boats. Other versions contend that the Nazis established a space program at their base in Antarctica and transported flying saucers and other cutting-edge weapons there, developed with the possible help from an alien race known as the Nordics. If this is the case, it must have been, and maybe still is, located inside the Mullig-Hoffman Mountains of Neuschwabenland's ice-free mountain range, aka Queen Maud Land. When the United States Navy Antarctic Developments Project operation was announced, some believed that the true nature of the mission was to visit Queen Maud Land, find Station 211, and seize the unfounded technology the fortress had kept hidden. On December 31st, 1946, the expedition made its way to the Ross Sea. After conducting airborne surveys across a region that was half the size of the United States, they discovered 10 new mountain ranges and were able to take thousands of images canvassing the continent. All in all, a success, right? So, when the expedition was terminated early in February 1947, 6 months before its scheduled end date, eyebrows were raised. After the death of 3 men on the continent, the official reasoning for the callback was that it was due to untenable, worsening weather conditions. But was it? Shortly after returning, Admiral Byrd was interviewed by Lee Van Atta of International News Service, held aboard the expedition's command ship, and the bizarre comments made by the Admiral appeared in the March 5th edition of the Chilean newspaper El Mercurio. Admiral Byrd declared today that it was imperative for the United States to initiate defense measures against the possible invasion of the country by hostile aircraft operating from the polar regions. The Admiral stated, "I don't want to frighten anyone unduly, but it is a bitter reality that in the case of a new war, the continental United States will be attacked by aircraft flying in from one or both poles." As regards the recently terminated expedition, Byrd said that the most important result of the observations and discoveries made is the current potential effect which they will have on the security of the United States. Had Byrd revealed the true nature of the expedition, whispers of Nazi spaceship technology soon turned into an all-out conspiracy, with Byrd seemingly at the helm. Questions began to arise that the U.S. Navy had no answer for. The 1947 expedition only lasted 2 months, so why did it end so abruptly? Why did Byrd make his statement at all, when, as a responsible serving naval officer, he was required to follow the protocols of secrecy and should have delivered his report in the first instance to the Pentagon? The Admiral believed that the issue was crucial to the national defense of the United States. What Antarctica-related findings and observations did Byrd believe to be endangering American national security? Well, luckily for you, we do, sort of, have some semblance of answers. On March 11, 1957, at the age of 68, Admiral Richard Byrd passed away. Following his death, his son was sorting through the Admiral's personal artifacts when he happened across a diary kept by Byrd during Operation Highjump. In the diary, Byrd details the events following a flight on February 19, 1947, just days before the expedition was called off. In the diary, Byrd details how on February 19th, he was out flying when the controls of his ship were suddenly taken over by an unknown force. While unable to pilot the aircraft, Byrd watched in amazement as he soared faster than he had ever known and desperately tried to radio back to base. However, attempts at contacting his crew were futile, and soon enough, a voice crackled over the radio, telling him that they would be landing in 7 minutes, assuring him that he was in safe hands. Once landed, Byrd is directed deep underground, and is met with a being identifying himself as the Master. The Master explains to the Admiral that he and his people are not from the surface world, but that they allowed Byrd to come into their realm due to his infamy and notable character. The Master goes on to tell Byrd that he is in Ariane, the inner world of the Earth. Byrd questioned why he's there, and is told that the reason for his summoning is that the inner world race had a warning for him to pass on to humanity. The Master told Bird that though they had never interfered with the surface world's barbarity and race wars, the human race has reached the point of no return. The Master explained to Bird how the Ariani race are thousands of years ahead of humanity as we know it, and offered help to rebuild Earth's culture when the time comes. After the lecture, Bird is led back into the elevator and back into his aircraft. Once inside, Bird found that his vessel was functional again, and he flew off, landing back at base camp 27 minutes later. His diary is not updated again until 20 days later when he writes, "I have just attended a staff meeting at the Pentagon. I have stated fully my discovery and the message from the Master. All is duly recorded. The President has been advised. I am now detained for several hours, 6 hours, 39 minutes to be exact. I am interviewed intently by top security forces and a medical team. It was an ordeal. I am placed under strict control via the national security provisions of this United States of America. I am ordered to remain silent in regard to all that I have learned on the behalf of humanity. Incredible. I am reminded that I am a military man and I must obey orders." If Bird's diary is to be believed, the reason for the abrupt end of the expedition was nothing to do with aeroplane crashes or bad weather. It was because he stumbled upon something he shouldn't have. Agartha.